Off to the EERC we go, which is the Energy and Environmental Research Center at the University of North Dakota. Wes Peck is the principal geologist there. Wes, how are you?
Doing just great. How are you, Scott?
Fantastic. And we're going to talk about something called CarbonSAFE today, which is a bit of technology that would allow for future CO2 storage. Why is that important? Why do we need to find a way of, doing something with the CO2?
Well, it depends on how you view the impacts of CO2 in the atmosphere, but working here at the EERC and in close contact with our partners on this project, it's thought that it's best to continue to look into cost-effective ways to capture and store or use the CO2 from our coal-burning facilities in the state, probably mainly as a way to continue to use the great amount of resource that we have in the state and approach energy use in an all-of-the-above type of means.
And, there's two schools of thought. One is to sort of battle over the science, which there is, a battle over, right? On who's right, or just recognize that there's enough of a fight that if we just take care of the problem, then then there's no need to battle anymore, right?
Well, yeah, exactly, right. And if we can use the CO2 to enhance oil recovery in western North Dakota and have it turn into a tool for economic development, that would be the best way to go. And if we have a place to put some CO2 that doesn't get used in the oil fields, then we have both ends of it covered.
So is that what CarbonSAFE is about? Would you, find other uses and then store the difference?
Yeah, we're working more on the store the difference aspect of it. We have other projects that here at the EERC that look into how best to use it, whether it's to enhance Bakken production or some of our older legacy fields. The CarbonSAFE project is looking into how can we validate a storage space to handle what we don't use.
Makes sense. So is this something that's doable a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Tell me a little bit about what your the possibilities are on the timeline.
Oh, for the timeline for looking at the CarbonSAFE aspect, very much doable in the next 2 to 5 years. We'll be looking first at doing a feasibility study there in central North Dakota near Beulah and central North Dakota, and our findings from there could be implemented in as soon as 3 years after that. So us geologists do have kind of the easier job out of the whole carbon cycle situation right now, and we'll tackle our piece, and the capture components will be tackled by the folks downstairs from me.
Where do you capture the carbon? How do you capture it and store it? Where does it go?
We're looking at a geologic formation that sits about 6,000 feet under the ground. It's a formation that isn't used for any sort of energy development. There's no oil or gas in it. It's actually being used as a wastewater disposal zone for some industrial facilities within the state. So we feel it's a great target opportunity for a place to put something like CO2.
And at 6,000 feet under the ground, what kind of arguments are going to be made about, there'll be earthquakes from that now, or you're going to pollute the water, or, obviously that's well below the water table. I get all that, but I mean, I'm just thinking of some of the same things you hear about fracking and other things that happen that bring the concerns as a reason not to do it. What would you anticipate in the way of arguments?
Well, it's unsure, but we're trying to be as open as possible. And in part of our attempt to address that is we're hoping to have, or we're planning to have, multiple open house opportunities to engage with the local public in Beulah and in Center. Our project is a 2-year project. We'll have 2 open houses early in the project and 2 open houses later in the project to get a feel for what people's concerns are and how we can best address them and answer them in a way that's easily consumed.
Chatting today with Energy and Environmental Research Center Principal Geologist Wes Peck, talking about a future CO2 storage concept technology called CarbonSAFE. So, using a football analogy, are you on the 10-yard line with this idea, or, is it the 50-yard line? Where are you at with, being able to pull the trigger?
Well, with respect to putting CO2 in the subsurface, we're definitely over the 50-yard line. We've worked with smaller projects in the region over the past few years, and this is a step going forward into a much more robust commercial scale effort. So we've learned a lot in our past efforts here at the EERC with our larger partnership, the Plains CO2 Reduction Partnership, and we're going to leverage the knowledge that we've gained and the knowledge that's being helped us with from partners. So our partner base is really going to help us push those last yards to a touchdown, using your analogy.
And the partner base being power generation, the coal industry, who would that be?
Yep. We have the power industry, for example, on this project is Basin Electric Power Cooperative, and we have Minn Kota Power Cooperative, and then from the lignite mining side, North American Coal and B&I Energy are on board, as well as Elite Clean Energy. So we have a great team working on this project.
Fascinating. Well, good luck to you. Appreciate all the great innovation that happens at EERC. Our best to everybody up there. Thank you so much.
Thank you much, Scott.
And this, by the way, is what I love about my friends in the coal world. Okay, and the power industry is obviously, if you're doing electrical generation, a good chunk of your power you provide for your customers most times comes from the coal industry. So they're sort of tied together. But they're always the technology that's invested, the dollars are in. If you look how that changes have come with great investment by the companies. Nobody's handing them a grant or a gift or anything else. These are huge investments by these companies and the industry ultimately to move the needle on technology and ideas, and this is another example of it. So you got to celebrate it when it happens, and we do love it.